We are going to move right along, and we have our track sponsors up next with a superstar session with a fantastic title, which I'm a fan of Queen's Gambit, so I really like the idea of the title. So we have Jose Garcia. I'm going to get this wrong either way, aren't I? Right?
Is Jose Garcia.
Jose,
fine. Yeah.
Okay. Where are you, Jose? Are you in Spain somewhere? Are you in,
Yeah, I'm based in Madrid right now.
Fantastic. Okay. Fantastic. I won't ask you about the European Super League. That's another thing we'll talk about another time.
Yeah.
But a different conversation. But no, great. So fantastic. Welcome welcome along. Thanks for being our sponsors. And you've got a really fascinating talk lined up here. I love the title. And I'm not going to take any more of your time. You'll have your full time. Don't worry. We're running a little behind because we started a bit late. But you can launch in. Are you ready to go?
I am, of course, ready to go. I just have to share my screen with my presentation.
Share your screen, and at the end, I'll come back. I'll gather some questions and come back and do a bit of a Q&A at the end, and then, but yeah, go for it.
Cool.
Off you go. It's all yours.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time today. It's amazing to be here with you. We are going to talk a little bit about chess. We're going to talk a little bit about CRO, art definition, mobile, how this is all related, right? So if you don't know what Queen's Gambit, apart, of course, from the Netflix, so just stay here. It's going to be very interesting, and we can see how tactic and strategy, a proper thought about that is going to boost your organic downloads. Just very quick, we are going to talk. I'm going to do a very brief introduction of who I am, who we are at LabCave, what do we do. What is conversion rate optimization, what is our definition inside CRO, and how we apply the scientific method, how we hypothesis, and how we A/B test to confirm or to eliminate hypotheses. But first, very quickly, my name is Jose Garcia. I am ASO and CRO specialist at LabCave. I have more than 5 years of experience now within the mobile industry with apps and games. I can safely say that I am very lucky to work as the same. My working hours and my free time is basically more or less the same because I love to play with games and with apps. So just want to speak with me. You think I can help you to unlock your growth, your number of installs? Just drop me an email to jose.garcia@labcavegames.com. I'm very happy to help you. I'm part of this tribe that we are at LabCave. We were founded almost 10 years ago. We are now part of some media group. And since then, we have worked with more than 65 clients. And we can safely say that we have put our skin in the game first. As we have launched more than 700 apps ourselves, we have reached more than 300 million installs, only with games and also, of course, with clients. We have a lot of expertise in mobile growth with ASO plus CRO, but we also can help you to monetize or to help you to publish your game. And we also do user acquisition. So if you think we can help you with our 360 degrees marketing strategy, we are happy to help. Okay, let's go into the subject, into the matter, right? What is conversion rate optimization? What is this CRO that we are going to talk about? It's the same as ASO? Well, it's not the same. ASO is the art of improving the visibility of your app or your game. Okay, we have keywords, we have optimization, we have analysis, etc. But art, creative assets are very important. I think now more than ever before, to increase the number of installs, to increase and to boost the number of installs very much. But it's not something static, it's something dynamic, it's a process, it's something, it's live all the time, it's live. And we work with them, we optimize, it's just, okay, we hypothesis, we optimize, but what do we do with that? Okay, so when you are going to download a game, or you are going to just search for an helicopter rescue game, you see some things, okay? So you see here the icon, you see the keywords, but the thing that appeals the user the most is the icon, okay? So once you have got the user to your store listing, the second step, that's half of the battle, okay? You have a lot of people in your store listing, but if they are not downloading your app, it's like nothing. It's like, okay, yeah, I have a lot of traffic, but I don't have any money. So this is the second part, the second step of the process. We have to increase to increase the number of installs. We have to optimize all these things we see here. We have to optimize the screenshots. We have to optimize the feature graphic, and we have to convince the user with the eye, with something very eye-catching, and of course also with keywords. But first, the first step is to establish a strategy. Okay, if we want to have good answers, we have to ask good questions. And how are we going to achieve our goals? What do we have to do? How are we going to do it? Do we have capabilities? Do we have a team of artists dedicated specifically to this, to my game? Are they going to study the market? Are they going to do a proper research? Who is our audience? Are we targeting the right people? Maybe our game is fantastic, maybe our assets are fantastic, our keywords are fantastic, but the audience is not the proper one. So maybe we have to think about that, right? When will we know if we are succeeding? Okay, we are testing things, but we can see some improvements. We don't see an improvement. How do we know if we are succeeding? If we are succeeding, what do we do next? We are going to stay like this. The market changes very quickly. What are we going to do, right? So we are going to play chess, right? If you have played chess a little bit, you know the openings are the first active movements. And Queen's Gambit, the current one, the one who Netflix take the name, is one of the oldest. So as you can see here in the image, this is the Queen's Gambit. And as Queen's Gambit, the openings are the first movement in chess. Our definition is the first movement in CRO. And our definition spans 3 steps. First one is competitor research. Okay, we want to do this, but our game is small, our game is big, but it's not big enough. What are the big ones doing? What is the market doing? How can we research what others are doing, right? Second one is differentiation. Why and where our game is different. Okay, there are a lot of games in the market. All of them are not the same. Why our game is different. And third one, game analysis. What are the main features of our game? Okay, our game is doing something very cool that other games are not doing. We have to show that. We have to convince the user that our game is different, that our game is better than the other ones. So for that, we follow the scientific method. It's not, marketing is, every day is more science. It's also art. It's like chess. Art and science is chess, but it's also marketing. So we have to follow some very thoughtful steps. Intuition is nice. Okay, I think this is going to work very well. I love this icon. I love this concept. I love this color. I love everything. But how do you know it's going to work? You have to trust data, right? So to trust data, you have to test things. So the first step is just a strategy definition. Is just the one we saw in the previous slide. But second one, you have to formulate an hypothesis. Okay, I think the competitors are doing this, and we are going to do this, 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 and this. And I think it's going to work because this and this and this reason. Okay, that's all very cool, but we have to test. So we go to a step third. We go to A/B testing. And A/B testing is something very scientific. We have to think very well, what are we going to test? How long are we going to test? And how are we going to know if it's working or not? Step fourth, data gathering. Okay, we have this hypothesis, we test it, what the data is showing, what the data is telling us, what is working, what is not working. And to arrive to the fifth step conclusion, okay, this worked, this didn't work. If this worked, we are going to implement it, or we want to optimize it more. Okay, so we go to another step, to go to iteration. And we have to second step again. We have to formulate a new hypothesis based on the data we gather, and then we have to go to the whole process again, right? So now we are going to go through a real case study. How do we apply all these principles, all these fundamentals in real life, in real life? Right? So in November 2020, we started working with a great game development studio Invictus Games. And since then, we have increased their downloads globally more than 800%, and only in the US more than 500%. So the icon A, as you can see here, this is the icon we receive when they contact us, and the icon B, as you can see, okay, we see two helicopters, we see soldiers here, but it's not the same. It's not it's completely different. The colors, the intensity is not the same. The order is not the same. In the final icon B, we can see the soldier here and not here. That's testing. It's not just magic. So how and why did we go from A to B? Okay, and as you can see here, these are the steps of the process. We follow all the time. This is just like a religion for us. We have to follow this all the time to know that we are working properly. The first icon A/B testing we did, it was through these three concepts. Number A was a soldier trying to be deployed for an helicopter. You can see very candid color, very in the background. The icon B is just a different one, completely different one. We see just two cannons just shooting to the helicopter, and other helicopter behind. And then the icon C is completely different one. It's just the blue background, just a helicopter trying to rescue a soldier. In this test, the results were not conclusive enough. It's like, okay, this is working a little bit better. We'll know exactly why, but the other ones are not working very well. Variant B, there is no soldier, this is not working. Okay, we tested this. Okay, it's time to formulate a new hypothesis. It's time to go back to the step 6, to the second one again, and let's test the soldier with an helicopter because it was the one who worked the best. So second, A/B testing, we go through the same steps again: hypothesis formulation, A/B testing, data gathering, conclusion, and iteration. In this case, the variant C, in the previous slide, the variant C was the one who worked the best. And here we can see the same idea, okay? It's just an helicopter trying to save a soldier, trying to rescue a soldier. Icon B is just the helicopter is landed. There are 3 soldiers trying to get to the helicopter, trying to be rescued. And the icon C is just a completely different idea. Again, it's just a soldier trying to help to the helicopter to land. It's not doing any rescue mission. It's just trying to land. Okay, so we confirm our previous hypothesis. If we put a soldier trying to get rescued by a helicopter trying to go through the steps, variant A was the winner with more than 7% of improvement. Okay, so in this case, we confirm our previous hypothesis. The conclusion is positive, but we have to improve even more. So we are going to test a third time. We are going to optimize the previous icon, the one that worked very well, but we are going to compare it with 2 very different icons. Here we can see the rescue of a soldier with help. It's the same idea, but it's not the same. We can see here a rope instead of some steps. The icon B is just some silhouettes of the helicopters, just a completely different background. There is no sky, there is no sea, there is no forest, just a wooden background and some helicopters. And then icon C is a very cool one. We love this one, but the result is the A worked much better. Icon C is just, you can see a first plane helicopter trying to fly, just shooting with some warships behind. We see the sea, we see the clouds, everything. Okay, this is very good, but variant A, in this case, was the winner as well. So with this result, we confirm our previous hypothesis and prove that it's true. We added any soldier here. I didn't show it. Here in the helicopter, trying to aid to the soldier to be rescued. Okay, so we finalized the experiment, the scientific experiment. We confirm our hypothesis. Conclusion was positive, and then okay, we implement this icon. But we don't do that just with icon. We do also with screenshots. In this case, first 2 steps. Okay, how are we going to define the strategy for these screenshots, and what's going to be our Queen's Gambit? What's going to be our first movement in this game match, right? In this chess match. We can see here that the screenshots of that we have, they are showing some very basic features of the game. We can see here. You can see very well the soldier here because it's green, the grass is green, the helicopter is green. You can see here another gameplay, but you don't know what's really doing. You can see here another, it's a little bit cloudy. Okay, where are the CTAs? Where are the call to actions? Where are the ribbons? What do you know what the game is doing here? So we do the market research and we see, okay, other people are doing this. How can we improve that? Okay, so we formulate an hypothesis. I think this is going to work better with some CTAs, which is this: choose your favorite chopper, don't let them shoot you down. And the ribbon is this green blocky part that you can see here. So that's very important because, okay, if you are a user and you go to the store listing and you want to download the game, but you don't know what the game is about, it's not okay, maybe it's not for me. But if you see here, okay, I can choose choppers, I can get medals, I have some campaigns I have to complete. That's very cool. So we have to A/B test our thoughts, our hypotheses. We are going to choose some blocky ribbons because the game is very blocky. We can see here the soldier is blocky, the helicopter is blocky. So if our game is blocky, it's very nice to have blocky ribbons, right? Okay, let's test. So we test, we gather the data, and we saw that with this test, we managed to increase the conversion rate by more than 16%. So the conclusion was very positive, but we could iterate a little bit more. So we did a second screenshot A/B testing, just for United States. So here, as you can see, this first screenshot is very eye-catching. You can see here the helicopters flying through the sky with the sunset, with some pink sky, very nice. And here we tested a second thing. It was like, okay, we don't know what other features we can add or that we can explain what the game is about. So how can we do it? Okay, if we go through the reviews of the game, we can see what the characteristics of the game the users highlighted the most. What are the keywords that are being repeated the most? What are the messages that people are leaving there? What are they loving? What are they hating? So based on all that research, we build a different concepts here, like this one: join the most epic campaign, prepare your chopper for battle, deploy your best troops, all that stuff, to see if it worked better than the previous one. So once again, we hypothesis all this based on the research we did. We A/B test, we gather the data, and then we got to the conclusion that this worked very well because we managed to increase the conversion rate in the US by more than 29%, which is huge. And last but not least, or only for Google Play, of course, we also can test the feature graphic. And this was the feature graphic that we received. Just of Heli Rescue is the name of the game, which is very cool. Here we can see as well a green helicopter, green soldier, green background, green grass. We don't know if it's sure what is he doing here. Okay, so we have to test again. Once again, the scientific method, we define the strategy, what's going to be our Queen's Gambit in this case. And in this case, we tested very different things. As you can see here in the previous slide, this is more or less same palette of colors. And here, what we tested is very different one. It's much more, there is much more contrast, more eye-catching, right? So we tested 3 different concepts. First one, very amazing in our thoughts, with this explosion behind the helicopter, this orange fire, which is very like, wow, what's that? Focus on soldiers in the B, where we can see here they are like 3 soldiers above the helicopter, just trying to see the enemy, to see if they can be rescued. It's getting dark, so it's going to be dangerous. And then concept C, we see here soldiers plus helicopters. Here we can see we are inside our chopper, and there is a blue sky, and there are other helicopters flying along with us, and it's really cool, right? So variant C was the winner in the US with a conversion rate improvement of 3%, which was this one, right? Variant C. Okay, this is the same than variant C, right? If you remember, but there is optimization because in the other one we have this blue sky, and here is like orange, which is like the sunset, which is like explosions, it's war around us. And honestly, we love the variant A, which is like, okay, it's like you're going to the King Kong Island, Jurassic Park Island with your choppers, with your warships. There is a beautiful sunset behind you. And then C is just a completely different concept from the other ones, where you are seeing something like everything is very dusty. I'm alone here, hoping to be rescued, and then there is a chopper coming here to rescue me. My life is amazing. And then, even though we love the concept A, our intuition is that we are going to win with A. We have to trust data, and C was the one who was the winner with a conversion rate improvement of more than 10%. And that's why we say, okay, Lo, it's very nice to your intuition is amazing, but you have to trust data, right? And also for in this particular game of Invictus Games, not every icon works the same in every country. In Google Play, you can test different icons in different countries. So in this case, in the United States, this was in United States, Brazil, and Russia, this icon was the best, but in Germany, this icon performed much better. So this means that there are differences in the cultural environment, difference in the users, in psychology of the users. Every country is completely different one from another. So if every country is different, you can have all the same icons, all the same art in all the countries, because it's not the same people. So once again, we tested in all the countries, and these ones were the winners. So our advice is, okay, it's nice to test, but don't test only one country, and don't test everything in all the countries. So don't test the same art in all the countries. In different countries, test different art, right? So here we can demonstrate that the number of visitors, which is the blue lines, increase hugely from 5,000 to 40,000, which is huge, and also the number of installs, right? That was through A/B testing. That wasn't magic. That wasn't just thoughtful. That was something very, very, very tested. Within a period of 4 months, we increased more than 800 installs globally only in the Google Play Store, and only in the United States. As you can see here, there is a huge growth as well, going from 400 to more than 1,800 number of visitors to the store listing, and also a huge increase of installs, where we were having like less than 100 to up to almost 600. So we were able to increase more than 500% installs in the main country, the United States, and the number of users who play every day from 500 to 9,500 currently, which is almost 2,000% more, which is amazing. And also users with the game download went from 14,000 to 112,000 users currently, which is huge. So that's the end of my talk. Thank you very much for your time. If you want to drop us an email, if you think we can help you to grow like this, just write to hola.labgames@labgames.com. Go to our website, our Twitter, LinkedIn. My colleague Jamie and I, we are going to be here the whole week. You can reach us out anytime you need us. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, Jose, that's great. We've got a load of questions we're going to try and get through. We've still got about we started about 10 minutes late, so we've still got some time for questions. Can you just turn off your screen share a second?
Yeah.
There we go. Everyone wants to see your lovely face. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm looking like this because I have another screen.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. I've realised I keep moving my screen. I keep cutting my head off. So apologies if you're seeing just the bottom of my face. So yeah, there's a number of questions here. I'm going to try and run through a few of them. I'll start with I'll start with a specific one, Twisted Brains. I don't know if this is relevant or not. How do you A/B test on a platform like Steam or other app stores? I guess other app stores is any different from? Do you test each one for a week, or do some platforms have an option to A/B test? I think it's a broader question about A/B testing outside of the specific platform you talked about. are there similar facilities elsewhere?
We test everything first on Google Play, because it is the platform that offers you the most options for testing. It's very insightful. It's very easy to test. Actually, if you know what you're doing, test is not easy, but once you know what you're doing, it's very easy to test on the Play Store. It gives you a lot of data. It could give you more, actually, but if a good number of data, is not that App Store is way worse in this case than the Google Play Store. But in iOS, for instance, you can use the tools like, for instance, split metrics to test all the stuff. And yeah, basically we test everything in Google Play Store right now.
Okay. You mentioned about starting with Google Play and then doing slightly less on iOS because haven't quite the same tools. But how much sort of difference do you find between the Android and iOS users? Is a question here. Particularly, they've mentioned US customers, but I guess it's the same. Is there quite a variance between? I mean, people are people. Obviously, there's a variance.
Yeah.
But is there anything noted between Android and iOS users you see regularly?
Well, this saying that if you want reach, go to Google Play. If you want reach, go to iOS. So in Google Play, the numbers are are much more grateful. Everything you test is much more grateful in terms of number. But of course, in terms of money, as you can see here, for instance, an iPhone is very expensive, but not all Android are very expensive. So the kind of user is not the same. So I think the biggest difference is that you are going to have a bigger reach in Google Play, but you are going to have more revenue in iOS.
I like that reach versus rich. That's very I've never heard that before. I'm sure that's a common industry thing. I really like that as a nice setup. You mentioned this is another question here. You mentioned 800. I noticed as well, like pretty sizable increases in downloads for your case study there.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're not picking the worst case study ever to show, obviously. So that's huge. I mean, that's incredible, and obviously testament to the stuff you guys do. But I'm assuming not every game can necessarily get 800%. I mean, or 1,000% or whatever. What sort of baseline success should you really be hoping for? Is there kind of, should be going, well, if I can't, double the click-throughs, I'm not doing it right, or is it so variable as to not really?
That's a very good question. Actually, it's like real life. I mean, if you have a very small game, it's easier to have more growth. If you are a super successful game with hundreds of millions of installs, it's much more difficult to get that amount, that huge growth. So if your game is just starting and you have nothing optimized, I think it's like when you start to losing weight. At the beginning, you see a lot of results, but once you are optimized, you are going to be like, okay, I'm eating very well, I am going to the gym, but I know seeing a huge. So with games, it's the same. If you are just starting and you didn't optimize your keywords, you didn't optimize your art, you never tested anything, you are going to see more improvement, of course. But once you have already optimized, you have to test, and maybe 1 or 2% improvement in conversion rate, it can mean hundreds of thousands of installs if you are very big.
Yeah. No, I mean, you mentioned a lot of. I'm sort of scanning through the questions to try and summarize things. You mentioned there's a lot of things you can do, obviously, which is for quite small changes when you think about like a screenshot here or an icon that has a huge impact, and there's a lot of thought going into that. So I can kind of combine kind of two questions here. One is, when should you start this strategy? Obviously until there's a game, there's probably not much point doing it until then, but at what point should be really building this into your sort of development process? And then how often should you be looking to reiterate? Obviously, if you're sort of Zynga or some Tencent or whatever, you're doing this constantly, you've got a massive team. If you're a smaller studio maybe, or you're not as familiar with this, how often should you be looking to kind of iterate?
Well, it depends. Of course, always in marketing, the answer is it depends. Yeah. So if you test, of course, we look at the data every day. If you are already having a good number of downloads and you are decreasing, it's because it's related maybe with the test. So we have to look to the data every day. But normally we recommend to test every 3-4 weeks, once per month, more or less every art. assets, because the more time it depends on the number of instances. But if you are a small studio, or you are just starting, you have to give time to the data to be gathered, to be trustful, to be consistent. So maybe 3-4 weeks is the recommended amount of time we would recommend to wait.
Okay, no, very, very good. I'm going to try and get through two more questions. Anybody else want to Jose? He's be around all week. You can contact him through Meet to Match from the Discord or whatever. So please do go to him, because I sense it's pretty impressive service here, which, you know, we've just seen the scale of the impact it can have. There's a very specific question I'd like to get to from attending. Many hyper-casual games do not have call to action in their screenshots. What are the pros and cons? And then how does app preview video impact on iOS? There's quite a lot of questions in there, actually, but one of them, it's kind of like 4 things crossed together. But is there anything, it mentions hyper casual not having call to action. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but do you need a call to action? I mean, that seems like
some of them have, some of them don't have. You have to test. Okay, how do you know if you test with CTAs and with ribbons, how do you know it's going to work worse than when you currently have? Okay, you have to test. You cannot know. It's just impossible. So if your game is having a lot of downloads, is performing incredibly well without CTAs, you can make a small test. Maybe you can apart some percent to do a small test, and then maybe you can see some improvements. Maybe if you put some very appealing CTAs, some very appealing ribbons, you can see a huge increase of instant. It means if you don't test, you can never know. It's impossible. It's like everything in life.
Fair enough. Final question. I'll just sum this up. So again, you know, obviously you've made a brilliant case for why you should be doing this, and you've you know, very sensible business reasons constantly and as much as you can. But say I'm a small studio, I've not done much, I haven't really thought about this. I'm going, God, why am I not doing this? You know, but I've only got, you know, I've got a smaller team. What would be the first thing or that they should focus on, apart from ringing up Lab Cave and trying to hire them? But what should be the what would be the one kind of main thing for like a smaller team? Maybe it's an indie team that they should focus on. Is it all about the app icon? Just spend as much time on that, or something else?
Well, that's a very good question, and the short answer, I think, if we are just speaking about art, about assets, we are not speaking about keywords, about basic metrics. I will say you have to measure if your app is having impressions first, and then of those impressions, how many people are visiting your store, and of how many people are visiting your store, how many are actually downloading the app, because it can tell you if maybe, okay, your app is having a lot of impressions, but people is not going to your store listing. So there is something they don't like there. And okay, what they don't like? Probably the icon, but you don't know, you have to test. And once, okay, I am receiving a lot of traffic, but I think, or maybe the category percent of conversion rate is huge, mine is very low. Okay, there is something you need to test there, because if you are getting users there and they are not downloading the app, they are not being convinced by something. Maybe the screenshots, maybe the keywords, maybe the feature graphic. You never know. You have to. It's like science. What's going to work about the COVID? We don't know. We have to test. So
fair enough. I love the analogy of the chess and the science and art combined. That's
it's like that. If you play chess, you know, it's very creative, but you have to measure everything what you are doing, because you can get messed very quickly.
Fantastic. On that note, I'm gonna have to say muchas gracias and
gracias.
And it's been a pleasure. Hopefully I'll be able to see you in Madrid at some point.
Anytime.
To go over there to haven't been to Spain for a while. Could do it leaving the country for a little bit, I think, soon. Fantastic. Thanks for your time. Obviously, Lab Cave and Jose are available to talk throughout the show, so please go and find him. I'm now going to let my beautiful assistant push him into digital ether as we move right along with more of the track.